Welcome to How to Not Fake It Till You Make It. It's time to start being it. Yes, that is what we are talking about today. Welcome to our masterclass that we have every single month on a new topic for the Empowered You community over on Facebook and the meetup group where money mindset, where passion meets purpose. So welcome to today's chat. We're going to talk all about this idea of faking it till you make it and how to stop doing that. And I'm going to tell you what to start doing instead. We're going to take some action today. So you guys ready? Because I am. So let me ask you, how would you like to learn a way to stop feeling phony and inauthentic? Yes, right? Especially in this world of today, it seems like everything is just so phony and we got to be that way. And there's this fight to be authentic, right? And I know you guys, if you're in Empowered You and if you're in Money Mindset, you are wanting to have authentic conversations, authentic relationships. So that's what we're going to talk about. Also, how would you like to feel in complete alignment with who you are becoming? Yes, right? We can have this struggle where we're like, not quite there yet. We're trying to be this different person. How do we do this, right? So we're going to talk about that today. But before we do that, I'd love to introduce myself to you all. For those of you that don't know me or are new, welcome. I'm so glad you found us. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you are taking the opportunity to work on you, to develop you, right? That's the number one thing, and I love that. So my name is Danny. I'm a hypnotherapist. I help people get out of their own way, right? Because we have this inner critic in our mind, that voice in our head, and so I help people work with that, right? To release any past trauma that may be stopping them from not feeling good enough or confident, right? Or shifting those limiting beliefs that are stopping us in our tracks, that are freezing us from moving forward and attracting everything that we desire. I help them find peace in the chaos. You might call me the peace teacher, right? I absolutely love what I do. I don't know if you can hear it, but I get pumped when I start talking about this because I get to work with some amazing people. I get to work with people who are empowered, who are taking control of their lives, who are shifting things so that they can have all the success and happiness and joy and love that they desire. That is what I get to do. How awesome is that, right? So I am also a master life coach, master executive coach, and a master NLP practitioner. I do have a degree in psychology. So when we start talking about the mind and behaviors and beliefs, man, this is my jam. This is what I love to talk about. This is what I research. This is what I study. This is what you'll find me watching YouTube videos and reading books on Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Friday evening, Wednesday night. You'll find me reading all about the mind. And so I definitely love to talk about this stuff. I don't know if you guys know that yet. So I am also, so a little bit more about me. So there's many facets of Danny, but a little bit about me. So I'm a coffee tea lover. Yes, not a coffee and tea lover, a coffee tea lover. So I'm actually drinking some right now. It's where I combine coffee and tea together. I literally one day was like, I want this flavor of tea, but coffee just tastes so delicious. So I put them together and magic was born. Yes, so now try it if you have not. Trust me, it's so delicious. I almost don't drink coffee alone these days. It needs its tea. I'm also a singer. I love nature. I love to read. My love and I, he's my partner in life and in business. We enjoy being outdoors. We enjoy traveling and vacationing, seeking adventure. You'll find us during the summer out and about. at the local parks, watching live music, concerts in the park, or at street food cinema, watching a movie in the park. Like, we love to be outdoors. I'm a huge, huge, huge volunteer. I volunteer as from the Lions organization with Seroptimus and in my local city. I'm absolutely somebody who's passionate about giving back and helping others. And so you will often find me in one of those places: nature, volunteering, or behind a book somewhere. All right, so that's a little bit about me, but are you guys ready to get started? Because this is going to be a good one, all right? So I'd like to tell you a little bit about the early entrepreneur, Danny. You see, when I first started out in my business, which actually it was my second business. So I had started a business. My love and I had this business, this online retail shop, and I hadn't quite started. Like, I was letting that one go, and I was like discovering this new kind of like coaching thing. And I was like, man, I have all this experience and all this knowledge, and I just want to help people and share it, right? So I was still working in the corporate world. So I was like kind of letting this one business kind of fall, kind of put an end to it. I was working in corporate, and I was like, had this idea about doing this coaching thing, right? And so I'm like, I do what, most people do. I started going to networking events. So I was like, okay, right, I got to find these people who I can coach. And I didn't really want the people in my 9-to-5 to kind of my corporate peeps. I didn't really want them to kind of know what I was doing just yet. And, because I was trying to build this business so that I could leave the corporate world, right? So I would go to these networking events, and I would start chatting with someone, and then the inevitable would happen. What do you do, right? They'd ask me that question. What do you do? And I would be like, well, I kind of have this business. I'm kind of looking into getting to coaching. It's just, and this like conversation was so awkward, right? People would look at me weird, like, what is she doing, right? Like, does she have a business? Like, what is she? She's a coach? Like, what? Like, they were so confused. They would walk away, and I would be like, whoa. Yeah, okay. I was just trying to be honest with these people, but they were looking at me like, this girl has no experience and she doesn't know what she's doing, right? So I'm like, okay, well, how do I do this, right? So I started searching for how to do this networking thing, and I came across books and articles, and they all said the same thing over and over, each one of them. You got to fake it till you make it. Right? And so here I was telling people like the complete opposite of that, right? I'm over here telling people the honest truth of, I'm just starting this business, right? I was not faking it at all. So experts tell us that, we got to fake it till we make it. And generally what they're telling us is we got to behave like the person we want to become. Well, if we look at this picture here of this little kitty cat, right? This little kitten, seeing himself as this big lion, he's still the kitty cat though, right? And he can't, go out into the world and be like, I'm this lion, because he's a kitty cat, right? A little kitten. People are looking at like, you're a little kitten, right? And that's how people were looking at me. Like, you're this little kitten. You have no idea what you're doing, right? And so experts, they tell us all these great things. And the things that I came across, and you might have come across these too, where they tell us, smile and you'll be happy. But oftentimes our smile kind of looks like that, right? Where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm smiling. Nothing's happening, right? Or they tell us to hit the power pose, right? Amy Cuddy, right? And that's this study that she does. If you don't know Amy Cuddy and the study, check it out. It's an awesome study. But it's all about our physiology and how that can change us, right? So they tell us to hit this power pose, right? And it's like this Wonder Woman, kind of pose. And that's what you do. Just hit the Wonder Woman pose, and that's going to do it for you, right? Or they tell us to mimic somebody who is a good leader, right? To mimic somebody who has done it, right? They tell us to be like them. Just be like them, right? There's so many great people out in this world, so many great leaders, so many people who have done it before us, and they tell us, just go be them, right? Go mimic what they do. Or they tell us to dress for the position that you want, right? get all dressed up and you know, wear that power suit and, you know, dress for the position that you want to be. And so, this is kind of funny. I actually even read one article that was telling you to pretend you know the answer, right? Like literally pretend you know the answer. How inauthentic is that? Pretend you know the answer. Yeah, that's how you do it, right? Like, man, so I'm like listening to all this stuff and I'm trying to implement the stuff that these experts are telling me. But as I'm doing it, I would literally come back from these events and I would be like this. I would have my head up against the wall like, what is going on? I feel so phony. I feel so inauthentic. I felt like I was being a big fat liar, to be honest. My whole body felt like just incongruent with what I was doing. My company was all about being you, right? My brand, be you, be amazing. But here I was, definitely not being myself. So what do, right? How could I be this business owner, which at the time was this little kitten, wanting to be this lion, but I was feeling like this fraud because I was trying to do all these things that the experts were telling me to do, but I was just feeling off. I was feeling like a fat liar. So how do we do this? How do we show up as the person we want to be when we're not quite there? How do we show up as the person we want to be when we aren't quite there yet? Now, this was the question that I had to ask myself when I was sitting here, early entrepreneur Danny, trying to figure that out. I had tried to do it my way, which was be honest, and that got me nowhere. I tried to do what the experts told me, but then that just felt awkward and phony and like, ugh, it didn't feel good at all. And here I was trying to build this business. Here I was trying to fake it till I made it. So I want to share with you 3 things that I did to start being the person that I wanted to be, to start being that lion without feeling phony and inauthentic. And I'm going to ask you to start doing those today. I'm all about action. I'm all about moving into action. That is what gets us going. That is what puts us into momentum. That's what shifts our vibration so that we can start attracting everything that we want. So I'm going to ask you today, there's the 3 things I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to give you some action items with them. And I'm going to invite you to do them, to start doing it today, right? It's great to hear a talk and learn something, but then you got to put the action behind it. So we're going to talk about that today. All right. So 3 things you can start doing today to be the person that you want to be authentically. All right. So number 1, change your thinking. Change your thinking. Change happens, like true change, real change happens when we change how we think. You have already started to change how you think. Just by being on this call today, listening in or catching the replay, you're already changing the way you're thinking. You might have heard me say something already that was like, oh, right? Change your thinking. But let me dive in a little bit more. Here's why. What we think causes us to feel a certain way. That changes our vibration. You might, we tend to call that emotions, right? But it's the same idea, right? We're all energy. And so when we change our way of thinking, when our thoughts cause us to vibrate or feel a certain way, right? And that causes us to act in a certain way. So by changing our thinking, it's going to cause us to change our actions, to change the way we do things. Okay? So let me give you an example. So have you ever been doing something? And this might be, driving in your car or having lunch, and a song comes on the radio. and immediately you remember something about that song, right? It takes you back to this moment. It might be, a time where you kind of smile because you're like, oh my God, that was so awesome, right? Oh, that felt so great to do whatever, right? Or it might be a memory where you start crying because it's just such a memorable moment, and it just like brings tears to your eyes, right? You're so happy for it. Or it could be a memory that isn't a good one, right? And it's kind of sad. And so it takes you into this like, oh, wow, kind of this sad place, So let's break that down for a second. You heard something, this song, which caused you to think something, right? Which then led you to feel something, which then caused you to do something. Now, if we think about this, what I just said, you might have heard that song, right? That you heard it and you thought of this memory, and it caused you to smile, to laugh, to cry, right? It caused you to do something. Let me give you another example. When I was in the corporate world, I managed a team. And I wasn't your typical manager. In the very beginning, trust me, I wasn't that great of a leader or a manager for that matter. But I learned some things along the way. And as I was leading this one team, I did this thing where, every once in a while, no clients were in the office, no customers. We would just throw on some fun music and we would just sing our hearts out, right? I said I was a singer, right? I love to sing. And so it definitely would raise the vibration, raise the energy in the office. And so, one of the songs that we would sing to was, don't judge me, it was Rihanna, Murderer. It's just, I don't know, it was one of the songs that would always come on at the time on the radio. And so we would, sing our hearts out to it. Well, one day I was driving. This is probably I want to say maybe 3-4 years after, I was managing that office. And that song came on the radio. Right? And it took me right back to that moment of, when we were in the office and everybody was singing and, it was just, I could see everybody and just hear, how much fun and feel that, right? And so I pulled out my phone and I took a picture of the radio, right, where it said the name of the song. And I texted it to one of the girls who was on my team at that time, who I'm still really great friends with till this day. And I'm like, oh my God, do you remember this, right? And so again, right, I heard it. It caused me to remember this moment. It caused me to feel a certain way, right? This fun, this joy, this happiness. And so I immediately wanted to share it with somebody who experienced it with me, right? And so I sent her that message. So our thoughts, right, when we think something, it causes us to do something. So if we're stuck, right, in something, it might be maybe we're feeling lack of, right? Maybe we're not feeling confident, or we're afraid to go talk to a potential client, or even a new potential, relationship interest, whether that's a friendship or a romantic relationship, right? Maybe that guy or that girl that you see, you want to go up to them, but you're stopping yourself. It might be because of the things that you're thinking, right? So the things that you think cause you to do something. So in that fact, if you think about, oh, I want to go talk to this girl, I want to go talk to this guy, you think something, whatever that is, probably some judgment from the inner voice, right? The critic loves to get in the way, keep us in our safety zones, right? It causes you to stop and not walk up to them. We do this all day long. We might smell something, we might hear something, we might touch something, taste something, any of our 5 senses, right? And it happens unconsciously. Automatically, this whatever it was puts us into this thinking, this thought, which changes our mood. It changes our actions. So if we think about it, it's changing our mood, which is changing our actions, we can see how important it is to change our thinking. Just in the clear example I used with maybe not having enough confidence or feeling unworthy to go up to that person and talk to them for whatever reason, whether it's a client, a friendship, a romantic relationship. We think whatever we're thinking, whatever the inner critic, the safety zone committee, right? Whatever they're doing, they're stopping us from taking that action. That's why people are telling you all the time that your thinking is so important. That's why it's number one. Number one is change your thinking, which you've already done, haven't you? So let's talk about number two, because these build upon each other. So now that we know we got to change the way we think, right? Now we can invite something new in. So number two is to create the image of who you want to be. Create the image of who you want to be. And I ask this because, do you know, are you clear about who it is that you want to be? Oftentimes we are not clear on what it is that we want. Oftentimes we know what we don't want, right? Many of my clients come to me and they'll say, you know, Danny, I want to be more confident. And I'm like, oh, awesome, great, I love this. Let's talk confidence, right? And so then I ask them, when you have all the confidence in the world, what would you be doing? And immediately they'll start telling me all the hurdles, all the challenges, all the things that they don't want. Because we can pull those up in a heartbeat, right? If I were to ask you, if you had all the confidence in the world, what would you be doing? You might say a couple of things. Oh, well, I'd be able to go talk to that person, you know, and I wouldn't feel judged by them, right? You start talking about all the things that you don't want. But we need to be clear on what it is that we do want. Oftentimes what we're attracting to us is what we are thinking, right? You've heard about the law of attraction. What you think about, right, is going to come into your reality. But if you're thinking about what you don't want, aren't you just causing more of that to come to you? So we first need to know what it is that we do want. Who do you want to be, right? What does this person look like? What do they feel like, right? How do they feel inside? How do they speak? How do they act, right? How are they acting in social situations? How are they acting at home when they're by themselves? What do they believe in? What beliefs do they have, right? We think about our thoughts are causing our actions. So what thoughts are they having? How are they seeing themselves, right? This is the beginning of starting to create the image of who you want to be, of actually seeing. If you say, oh, I want to be that lion like that kitten in the picture. Great. So what does that lion look like for you? Because what that lion looks like for me may be very different from what it looks like for you. So you want to be clear on what it is for you, right? You might have, like, sometimes what will happen is when people come to me and they're talking about confidence, they'll say, well, I'm confident. I'm not confident at all. But, you know, doing a little digging, I find that they're confident in certain areas, but they're not confident in some other areas. And those are the areas that they're focusing on, right? They're focusing on the areas that they aren't feeling worthy of, or they're feeling like a lack of, right? But they do have confidence. It just might be in some other place, right? So we need to pull that over. But first they need to know what it is, right? What exactly it is. So here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. And so this is your action item for number 2, is to sit down and write it out. Write out the description of who it is that you want to be. And I mean literally, like pen to paper. Describe who this person is in as much detail as possible. I want you to write it out so clearly that if you were to hand it over to me or hand it over to someone else, maybe a friend, that they could get the same image you created in your mind's eye, right? They would be able to say, oh, okay, yeah, totally get who this person is. And you might start by answering some of the questions that I asked earlier, right? What does this person think? How does this person act? What are the beliefs that this person has? How do they show up, right? When they enter a new environment, how are they showing up? If they're, maybe it's a public speaking thing, right? Maybe they get shy in public, right? So how do they want to show up instead? How does the person that they want to be show up for a public speaking event? How does that person show up? How do they act? What do they say? Right? What's their essence like, right? What's that vibration that they're in? How are they carrying themselves? Write that out in as much detail as possible. And then, after you've written it out, then you're going to take the next step, which is to read that description every single day. You might take 5 minutes and just bring that image that you wrote to life in your mind. See yourself doing everything you stated in that description, right? You already had that image in your head because that's how you got to write it on paper. You're just bringing it back up, right? So I often will tell people to read it first, to just bring everything back to life, and then just feel into that moment. And I'm going to tell you to take it a step further, because our subconscious mind, it's the powerhouse. It does not know the difference between what is real and what is fake. It takes whatever you give to it as absolute truth. So when people talk about reprogramming the mind, this is what they're talking about, right? But I want to take this one step further. What I want to do is I want you to step into the picture. I want you to become what we call associated into the picture, where that means you're looking through in the picture in your mind's eye, you're looking through your own eyes and you're seeing everything that you see, you're feeling everything that you feel, right? All of that you described, you're feeling it. You're literally like imagining this happening, like you're in it in that moment. You associate into this feeling. This is when we take it that one step further and get it fully integrated into our bodies, right? And you don't have to sit, not meditation position, right? Om status, right? You don't have to do that. I do this in my bed every morning, right? I'll still be laying in bed. Yes, I'm the one who wakes up before my alarm clock, right? Sometimes it goes off and I have to hit it. But I'll like literally lay there, right? The minute that I start like coming into consciousness, right? In that hazy wake state, I'll, which is a light trance, by the way. We do it all the time. It's one of the things I do in hypnotherapy. It's kind of in that kind of state where you're kind of awake, kind of asleep. It's that state. And I can start feeling my mind start to work, right? I become conscious of it working, and I'll bring up the image of the person that I want to be, or the next level of who I'm becoming, right? And I step into that. It's like I literally step into the picture and I can see it through my own eyes, right? At one point I was, or actually it's still in my vision, but I think I had it a little bit more in the forefront. It's kind of in the background now. Because I've stepped into a different place now. But I would literally like through my own eyes, like, imagine myself walking through this home, right, that I wanted, right, where I could like, I see the kitchen and, I look down and I'm chopping up some fruit, right, or I'm making some coffee. Like that's how visual, right, that's how I get in the picture. And that's what I'm going to invite you to do. Makes a big difference from just seeing it. I mean, seeing it on the screen of your mind is awesome, but stepping into it takes it that much further. So I'm gonna challenge you to do that. All right, so now that we've changed our thinking already, right? And we see how important that is to start changing our thinking. The next step is for us to create that image, right? And then visualize it, hold it on the screen of our mind, step into it as if it's actually happening, right? Because our subconscious mind is going to accept that as truth. And you're going to start seeing that happening in your environment, in your world. You're going to start doing things that you wouldn't normally do, right? And here's the next thing that goes right with that. take action. Act, right? Yes, start doing something to move you towards that person that you are becoming. Take action, okay? And there's a couple things I want to say around this. So let's go ahead and dive into that. So number one, sometimes when we look at our description or we think about the person that we want to become, there may be some things that we don't quite know yet, right? And one of those things might be to maybe learn a new skill. If that's what it is, this is awesome, right? Because we can always learn a new skill. That's the easy part, right? I think the harder part is probably changing our thinking, right? Learning a new skill is easy. We can do that, right? There's classes, there's books, there's YouTube University, there's, online, you can research anything online, just Google it, right? You can learn whatever it is that you need to learn. That's the easy part, right? It's just figuring out, okay, what are the skills that I need to learn? Where are these gaps that I might have between the person I am now and the person that I want to be, right? If we think about one of the things that I did a lot of research and studying on was confidence, right? It's one of the things that I work with my clients now because I've done all this research, right? Is where if we're stepping into this confidence idea, it's like, okay, so now I know that I need to learn confidence. So what books are there on confidence, right? What YouTube videos? Who's the expert in confidence? What are they talking about? What are they saying? What are they doing? And then implementing those into my life, right? One of the books I read was like, go out and do this one thing or write down this list. And I was like, okay, and I would put it into action, right? So learning a new skill. The more you do this, the more you step into learning this, I can tell you the more confidence you're going to get in that, whatever that is. The more confidence you're going to start to get in it. One of the things that I did as a business owner very, very early on, and I'm still learning, trust me, I'm only in my third year of business, so I'm still learning. But one of the things I didn't know was marketing. Right? I didn't know that owning my own business meant that I had to market. I didn't even know I really didn't know anything about marketing. So I had to learn about marketing, right? That was one of the things I had to do as I was building this image of this like kick-ass, badass CEO, this lady boss that I was becoming. She had to know how to market her business, right? So I had to learn how to do that. And the more and more I learned how to do that, the more confidence I got in it. The more action I was taking, the more, the different ways I started to put myself out there, right? So number one, learn whatever that skill is that you're missing. That's the easy one, right? Number two is to then take one small step. And I kind of already hinted at this, right? Take one small step towards becoming that person, whether that is within the skill that you're learning, like applying it into your daily life, or just taking one little small, tiny little thing, right? So we talked about confidence, and I kind of gave that example about networking. If we think about that, let's use that as an example. If we're, maybe we're kind of shy, we've been labeled, or we label ourselves, right? As, I'm not big on labels, guys, but maybe we label ourselves as a introvert, right? And so when we go to networking events, it's like, we hide out in the corner, we hide out in the back, hoping that maybe somebody will come talk to us, right? Or we walk in and we sit right down, and just like, okay, maybe the person next to me will talk to me, right? I've been there. So if we're looking at taking one small step, and I mean like itty bitty, like super tiny little step, trust me, the smaller, the better. But a little tiny little person, a little step towards this person, right, that we want to be. In this example, what's one thing that I could do? It might be, well, maybe I'm avoiding networking events right now, right? So maybe the first step is to find a networking event to go to, right? Another small step might be actually going to the event, right? Or let's say I've been going to events, but I've been the person hiding out in the back. Maybe I challenge myself just to smile at one new person, right? Or maybe a small step might be to talk to just one person. Maybe that's it. Maybe I actually take the step to, go up to somebody and introduce myself, right? Or maybe I'm at a coffee shop in line and I turn to the person behind me and I say hi, right? What is the one small thing that you can do? And I want you to know that it doesn't matter whether you completely bomb this or whether you like nail it. It does not matter. The idea here is to do it, right? This is number 3 of take action. It's not about how well you did it or, you know, whether you mastered it or whether you completely bombed it. It does not matter. What matters is that you took this one small step, okay? So one of the things I'm going to say is when we conquer confidence, right? One of the ways to do that is to do it with one small thing at a time. We start to build this momentum that keeps moving us forward, which then increases our confidence in something. So as you're stepping into this person that you want to become, just do one thing, one small thing, and then do another small thing, right? You might want to ask yourself in the morning, what's one thing I can do today? Remember, itty bitty, tiny little step. What's one thing? And it's going to be what's relevant for you, right? I might say, walk up to a person and start talking to them. And you're like, whoa, that's like 10 steps ahead, Danny. And that's okay. If your first step is to just step into that building, then that's all it is. Do that one thing. You might want to do it a couple of times. Trust me, the more you do it, the easier it will become, okay? So number 3, now this one, when we talk about action, sometimes we need this one. Sometimes just doing those first 2 things is not enough, or we allow, you know, the inner critic, the little voice, the safety zone committee to kind of get the best of us. But when we work with a coach, now that is changing things. If you're feeling like, you know, I tried to take this one step, or, you know, I said I was going to go to this event, or I said I was going to talk to this person and I didn't, then it might be a coach that you need to work with. Somebody who is there to help you, right? Support you, guide you, who's going to challenge you, you know, push you just a bit. You know, I have to do this all the time with my clients, right? Like we start to work through one area of their life that is a current challenge. And yes, challenge. Not obstacle, not fear. It's a challenge, right? And we can overcome challenges. So we'll talk about tiny little action steps that they can do, right? And I hold them accountable for it. We know that when we tell ourselves, you know, like I know I've done it, where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to eat the chocolate cake. I'm going to go to this party and I'm not going to eat the chocolate cake. Nope, not doing it. Then I get there. And then I start making up all these reasons why I need to eat the chocolate cake, right? I might say, well, you know what? The host is gonna think, you know, that I don't like them because I didn't eat their chocolate cake. Or I might get judged because I'm not eating the chocolate cake, right? Or people might start asking me questions about why I'm not eating this chocolate cake. All of these things, right? They start coming into our mind and they stop us from doing what we want to do. But if I had a coach on the other side and I told my coach, hey, I'm going to go to this party and I'm not going to eat the chocolate cake. Well, first off, I have an excuse because when I get there and I don't eat the chocolate cake, and if anybody asks me about it, I can be like, well, my coach said I can't eat it, right? I can use them as an out. But the thing is I have this accountability to somebody else. And oftentimes we honor our word to other people. We don't do it to ourselves. We honor it to other people. So when you work with a coach, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to hold you accountable. They're going to help you see something different. They're going to help you come up with these small action steps that you can take, right? They're going to help you honor your own word. They're going to hold you to it. If you're following me here, you know, I'd love to be that coach for you. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to help you through this. You know, I've been there. I've definitely been there. I know what's going through your head. So let me help you. If you're feeling like you need some extra guidance and some extra support, then, I'd love to be that person for you. If you're interested, I do offer free 30-minute sessions. It's a chat that we'll have called Clear the Mind Clutter. You can go to thepeaceteacher.com/free call, and it'll send you to a link that you can get signed up for a session. Absolutely free over the phone, and in 30 minutes I can help you work through a challenge, or I can see if we're a good fit, right? If I can be that coach that you'll need, because there's different types of coaches out there, guys. Sometimes I do hypnotherapy sessions that are exactly one thing that you need to move forward. Sometimes it takes a series, it might take a little bit more, and sometimes it might be some one-on-one. What I do is meditation coaching, so I help you kind of learn how to include the peace and calm in your life while I'm holding you accountable to all these other things, right? All these other action steps and all these other things that you're trying to achieve in your life. So it's a really cool combination. But you can learn more about that on my website at thepeaceteacher.com. So let's go ahead and recap. And before I do that, though, let me just make this point. Whether it's me or another coach, or whether it's a mentor, I want you to find somebody who has done it. Somebody who has been there, somebody who can walk you through the process, who can guide you. Find somebody who can help you. Trust me, it is hard to do it on your own sometimes. And sometimes you do need that outside perspective. Family, friends, loved ones, they sometimes just don't get it. And you need that outside perspective. So whatever that might be for you, whether it's me or somebody else, go and find somebody who you can work with. All right? Okay. So let's go ahead and recap. Number 1, these are the 3 things. Remember the 3 things that I want you to start doing now, today, so that you can show up as that person that you want to be without feeling fake or phony or inauthentic or like a big fat liar like I did, right? I did these 3 steps and I started to show up as me authentically, as my brand had said, be you, be amazing, right? That's exactly what I did. And so that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. So number 1, change your thinking. And you've already done that, right? Exactly. All right, number 2, create the image of who you want to be. Who is it? Be absolutely clear. Write that down in as much detail as possible. Visualize it. Step into it as if it's happening already now to you, and watch it. Watch it start to come to you. Everything. Start looking for the opportunities for it to be there, because it will. And then number 3, take action. Yes, start doing something today, whether it's learning the new skill, whether it's taking one small step, or whether it's working with a coach, right? But take action. Do something, right? This is the bottom line, if anything that you take away, is to just do one thing. Take one step at a time, right? One step in front of the other. One step at a time, and then another step, and then another step. Whatever that might be for you, wherever you are on this road, just take one step forward. All right, so I would love to know what your takeaways are. What are you taking away from this talk? What are you going to put into action? What is your next step? And if you're catching this on the replay, feel free to drop a comment down in the Empowered You community or the Meetup community, or email me, right? Whatever. Follow me on social media. Hit me up. DM me. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Danny C. Muniz. And I would love to hear what your takeaway is, what you're doing. Let me celebrate with you, right? Let me hear what you're doing, what that next step is for you, and how I can help cheer you on. And again, this is an exclusive talk that happens every single month for the Money Mindset community and the Empowered You community over on Facebook. We have an in-person session and a virtual session. So our next in-person session is going to be August 8th in Pasadena. And then our virtual session will be just like this in August, so August 22nd. Thank you again for taking time for you, taking time to work on you, and to empower your life. So again, if you are if you're looking for help in any of these areas here, These are things that I work with clients with all the time. You can find more information on thepeaceteacher.com. Again, I have free 30-minute calls, right? What is 30 minutes? What if 30 minutes could be the call that you need to make? What if it's that action step that you need to take to help you get whatever it is that you're looking for in your life? So last but not least, again, my name is Danny. I'm a hypnotherapist, and I invite you to be you, to be amazing, and to be the person that you want to be one step at a time. All right, everyone, have a great day. I will see you soon. Bye.